You already speak AI better than you think. You just don't know the words yet. Over 1,000 marketers in our community told us the same thing. They use these tools every single day, and they still freeze when someone drops a term like MCP or RAG or context window. By the end of this video, you will understand every major AI acronym clearly enough to hold your own in any conversation with a developer, a vendor, or a client. Let's get into it. Quick note before we get into it, I'm J.I. I work for Jason and Isaiah, who run AI Marketing Forum. This video is AI generated. They review every word before it ships because if someone's teaching you AI, you should see them actually using it. Here's why these terms matter to you. You don't need to understand an engine to drive a car, but when the car breaks down, you need enough vocabulary to tell the mechanic what's wrong. That's what these acronyms are, the words that let you diagnose problems, make informed decisions, and stop being the person in the room who just nods along. More practically, the moment you know what an API key is, you stop being afraid to connect your first tool. The moment you understand a VPS, run an agent overnight goes from intimidating to obvious. We're breaking this into 4 layers: conversation, connection, infrastructure, and advanced AI. Each one builds on the last. Start with the conversation layer. What happens when you open a chat window and type? LLM stands for Large Language Model. This is the AI brain. Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, all LLMs. They're software systems trained on enormous amounts of text, and that training is what lets them read your input and generate a response that sounds and often thinks like a human. When people say the AI, they usually mean the LLM. Every tool that uses AI is, at some level, sending a request to an LLM and getting a response back. You don't need to know how they work internally. LLM equals the brain. Everything else in this video is about how you connect things to that brain, feed it information, and get it to act. A prompt is the instruction you give an LLM. When you type into Claude or ChatGPT, that message is your prompt. The quality of what comes back almost always tracks the quality of what you put in. Longer and more specific tends to beat short and vague, but it isn't really about length. It's about clarity, telling the AI who it should be, what to do, what format you want, and what context it needs. Prompt engineering is a real job title now. You don't need to be an engineer to do it well. You need to be a clear communicator. Marketers are naturally good at this. You already know how to brief a writer, and briefing an LLM is not that different. Tokens are how LLMs measure text, not words. Tokens. A token is roughly 3/4 of a word. Marketing is 1 token. AI Marketing Forum is about 4. This matters because nearly everything about using an LLM is measured in tokens: how much you can send, how much it returns, and how much you get billed. So every conversation gives you a token budget. That budget has a name, and it's the single most useful concept in this whole video: the context window. The context window is the AI's working memory. Everything inside it is what the model can see right now: your message, its previous replies, any documents you pasted, any instructions set at the start. All of it consumes tokens. Models differ widely here, and the numbers have moved fast. Today's frontier. Claude models run to 1 million tokens, which is roughly 750,000 words, or something like 8 novels. That means you can paste in entire transcripts, whole document sets, even a full code base, and the model works across all of it at once. When you hit the limit, something drops. Older parts of the conversation fall out. That's why very long AI chats sometimes seem to forget what you said at the beginning. Those early messages left the window. Next, the connection layer. This is where most marketers start feeling lost and where it clicks fastest. API stands for Application Programming Interface. Don't let the name intimidate you. An API is just how software talks to other software. When your email platform pulls in CRM contacts, that's an API call. When your scheduler checks your Google Calendar, API. When you connect Zapier to anything, API. Here's the part that trips people up: the API key. When you sign up for a service, they give you one. Think of it as a password, but not the kind you type into a login screen. It's a password your software passes automatically to prove you're allowed to use that service. So grab your API key and paste it here. Means get your credential from the service, put it in this field, and now your app can talk to it. API keys aren't code, they're credentials. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. This one is newer, so don't feel bad if you haven't heard it. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, created MCP as an open standard for connecting AI models to external tools: your calendar, your email, your CRM, databases, files, browsers. The best analogy is USB-C. Before USB-C, every device had its own cable and its own connector. USB-C standardized all of it. One cable, every device. MCP does that for AI. Instead of building a custom integration every time you want Claude to reach a new tool, you use the standard and it works. At AI Marketing Forum, we use MCP to give Claude access to Gmail, Google Calendar, our Plain project system, and Pinecone, our memory layer. That's what makes a session feel like working with an assistant who knows what's happening in the business, rather than a blank slate chatbot you rebrief every time. A webhook lets one app automatically notify another the moment something happens. Here's the difference from an API. With an API, your software goes and asks, anything new? With a webhook, you flip it and tell the other service, when something happens on your end, tell me immediately. Practical version, you set up a webhook in your form builder, so every submission instantly pings your CRM, your email platform, and Slack at once. No polling, no delay. The event triggers the notification. Webhooks are how real-time automation actually works. When a tool asks for a webhook URL, it wants a destination to send data to, and you'll get that URL from whatever tool is receiving. Now, the infrastructure layer. This one feels most foreign to marketers and unlocks the most. VPS stands for Virtual Private Server. It's a rented computer that lives in a data center and stays on around the clock. Your laptop sleeps when you close it. A VPS never does. That matters because AI agents need somewhere to run when you're away from your keyboard. If you want Claude monitoring your inbox at 3 a.m., summarizing leads before you wake up, or posting a scheduled update without you pressing send, that process lives on a VPS. Virtual means you're renting a slice of a much larger machine rather than a physical box. A basic one costs a few dollars a month. Our team runs several background automations on one, and it's what makes overnight agents possible. SSH stands for Secure Shell. Once you have a VPS, you need a way to connect and control it, and that's SSH, a set of rules for opening a secure, encrypted connection from your computer to a remote one. In practice, it's a single line you type into a terminal. It looks like this: SAH username iyourserver.com. One command and you're in, controlling a machine in a data center from your laptop. Run scripts, install software, start and stop processes, all from that text window. The secure part matters. SSH encrypts everything passing between your machine and the server. When a setup guide says SSH into the server, it means open your terminal and connect with that command. CLI stands for Command Line Interface, the text window where you type commands instead of clicking buttons. Terminal on a Mac, command prompt on Windows. Most software gives you a GUI, a graphical interface with menus and icons. The CLI is the older, faster, more precise alternative. You type, you hit enter, things happen. No loading screens, no navigation. Why it matters for you. A lot of AI tooling runs from the CLI, including many MCP servers and agent frameworks. When a guide says run this command, it means open your terminal, type this, press enter. You don't need to program to do that. You just have to be willing to type in a window without buttons. Last group, the advanced AI layer, where using AI becomes understanding it. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. It sounds complex and isn't. Plain English. RAG is how you give an AI access to your specific documents and knowledge without retraining the model. Here's the problem it solves. An LLM knows what it was trained on, but it doesn't know your company's processes, your past client work, or what you decided in last week's strategy meeting. You can't upload that into the model because the model is already trained. The context window helps, but it isn't infinite. RAG does two things. First, it stores your documents in a searchable database called a vector database. Second, when you ask a question, it pulls the most relevant pieces and inserts them into the context window before the AI answers. The result is an AI that sounds like it knows your business, because in that moment, it does. It just read the relevant parts before speaking. We use a vector database called Pinecone for exactly this. Every decision log and script we produce is vectorized and searchable. So when Claude needs context on a past project, it retrieves it. That's RAG in production. Fine-tuning is the other approach to making AI smarter about your domain. And it's worth knowing the difference from RAG because they get confused constantly. Fine-tuning means actually retraining a model on your data. You take a base model, run it through additional training on your documents and your writing style, and the model's weights change. It learns your patterns deeply. That sounds appealing, but it's expensive. It needs real technical expertise. And every time the base model updates, you redo it. For most marketing use cases, RAG wins. Faster, cheaper, easier to update, and you can add documents in seconds. Fine-tuning is right when you need the model to consistently behave a specific way, and RAG can't get you there. If a vendor mentions fine-tuning, you now know what to ask. What does it change about behavior? And have you tried RAG first? Agentic AI, or an AI agent, is an LLM that doesn't just generate text, it takes action. A standard conversation is one turn at a time. You ask, it answers. An agent breaks that loop. Give it a goal, and it works out the steps, executes them in sequence, and reports back. In practice, you tell an agent, find every lead from last week's webinar who hasn't replied, draft a personalized follow-up for each, and put them in a draft folder for review. A standard LLM helps you write that request. An agent goes and does it. It connects to the CRM, pulls the list, writes the emails, routes them to drafts. Agents use tools connected through APIs and increasingly MCP. The agent picks a tool, calls it, reads the output, decides what's next, and keeps going until it finishes or hits something it needs to ask you about. Our team runs agentic workflows daily. The infrastructure is real and available now, and the marketers who learn to direct these agents multiply their output without multiplying their team. Finally, the system prompt, which is one of the most useful things here, and almost nobody explains clearly. Every time you interact with an AI product, there's almost certainly text the AI reads before you say anything. That's the system prompt. It's hidden from you, set by whoever built the product, and it shapes everything about how the AI responds. One might say, you are a support agent for Acme Corp. You only answer questions about our software, never discuss competitors, always be brief. Every response you get is filtered through those instructions. When you build your own AI tools, the system prompt is where you define personality, boundaries, tone, and role. It's the brief you write before the conversation starts. In Claude Code, Jason and Isaiah write system prompts, telling Claude what work it's doing, what brand voice to hold, what never to do, and where to look for memory. It isn't magic. It's careful instruction design, which marketers are already good at. Here's the complete picture, in one pass. The conversation layer. An LLM is the brain, a prompt is your instruction, tokens are how text gets measured, and the context window is how much the AI can see at once. The connection layer. An API is how software talks to software. MCP is Anthropic's open standard for connecting Claude to external tools, and a webhook is how apps notify each other in real time. The infrastructure layer. A VPS is a remote computer that never turns off. SSH is how you connect to it securely. And a CLI is the text terminal where you type commands. And the advanced AI layer. RAG gives an AI access to your documents without retraining. Fine-tuning actually changes the model. An agent takes action instead of just responding. And the system prompt is the hidden brief shaping every interaction. 14 terms, 4 groups. If you've been here the whole way, you now understand more about AI infrastructure than most people in marketing leadership. Not because you became a developer, but because you spent 15 minutes learning the language. Everything in this video, including reference cards and a printable cheat sheet, lives inside the AI Marketing Forum community alongside the Mutual Intelligence Resource Library. Skills, workflows, setup guides, everything we ship. $28 a month, and the link is in the description. One last thing, drop a comment. Which of these acronyms have you been nodding along to without actually knowing what it meant? No judgment. We've all been there. I'm J.I., and I'll see you in the next one.